We're going to throw the mic down to Houston with our the Rockets' newly acquired forward, Dylan Brooks. Quote, I know every single night guys are thinking of me. It's in their mind before the game even starts. End quote.
Probably think about how stupid that haircut is. Probably not much other than that.
I'm going to read that first part again. I know every single night guys are thinking about me.
That's Good awesome. For him, man. Yeah, Good for him.
Cause we way too high for you. Tripping like we got too much on. Don't they got love before us? Cause we staying all night long. Yo, when we walk in the club, you better believe we know what's up. Got these girls a little trance, throwing rhythm in the dance.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back to another rendition of the Bros and the Berg podcast. We thank you for joining on whatever platform you do get your podcast. I obviously am your co-host, Ryan Doyle, joined as always by my other co-host, Robbie Bergstone. And we are managed and wrangled by the executive producer down there, the other redhead, less attractive one, details. But he does and makes everything possible for this podcast. So, we wouldn't be here without him. Gentlemen, it is 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, July 9th, 2023. And we have an absolute banger of a show for y'all today.
Action-packed.
Strap in, because we're locked in. I've been locked in, been waiting on Robbie for about an hour. Definitely wasn't the one that was late.
Yeah, definitely not you. You were on time.
Would never.
Ryan's always on time.
Ryan wrote the whole outline and gave us all of our lines. He gave us a script ahead of time. Has been waiting on
crazy.
Us.
My back is falling apart.
It personally offends him to be late, so he's made it like a life goal to never be late to anything, ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's going on my tombstone, actually.
Yeah, good call.
Never late.
Never late.
So, to kick off this episode, right now we are kind of in the dead season of sports. There's no basketball. There's no football. There is baseball, but it's regular season baseball.
Disrespect to the summer league too.
You're right. That's true. Sorry, there's basketball.
Fucking mild from the field.
But
Brandon Miller looks terrible.
Yeah, we'll get to that and more.
But yeah, so basically we've kind of introduced a few new segments, and we're going to continue that this week. But I thought we'd start off the episode on kind of a positive note, as opposed to this is an opinion based thing, but it's not really like a take thing. This is purely we're going to list our 4 favorite athletes of all time. So like I said, these are personal choices. And Robbie, I want to start with you, man. Give me one of your 4 favorite athletes of all time.
We'll go with my first one that I wrote down on my list. It's the first player I really remember watching play football.
Yep.
And the first person I was like watching him play football, I was like, wow, like this dude is just different. That's going to be Reggie Bush.
Oh.
At USC, that man was nuts. He was the best player on every field he stepped on in college. And he was the reason I got into football. I grew up a USC fan too, so it kind of lines up with that. But I'm gonna go Reggie Bush for the first one.
I like that pick. I'll take the second go of it. This guy actually used to be my favorite player of all time. Spoiler alert, I grew up playing basketball, and basketball has been the most important sport in my life. And so therefore, unfortunately, all these 4 guys are basketball players. But that's just because that's the sport I've loved the most growing up. I do have some honorable mentions that aren't basketball, but the guy that used to be my favorite player of all time, kind of a strange pick, Andre Iguodala. Used to be my favorite player of all time. Is still in my top 4 favorite all time. I always thought the way that he played was very smooth. I really, a lot of the time, I watched his tape on like when he was with the 76ers. And obviously he was integral to that Warriors team, just a defensive presence. Just a really good on both sides of the ball and had a good prime. And I always thought of him as kind of an underrated player. And like I said, when I was younger, he was my favorite player. And I just liked the way he played. Ryan, what do you got?
Thank you for the personal rundown for that.
Of course.
McDonald's forgot my fucking 10-piece, so I'm actually livid. Thank God I have the quarter pounder.
Ryan has to end the podcast and go back to McDonald's real quick.
I have a quote bone to fucking pick, but podcast is what takes priority.
Yeah.
It's clearly
ever. I think an easy pick for I think I'm probably yoinking one of Connor's. Growing up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. A man synonymous with Dallas sports, loyalty. Took his team to 2 NBA finals. Finally got that one in 2011. That man's going to be Dirk Nowitzki, the tall German. When you think of Dallas sports, it is Dirk is on the Mount Rushmore of Dallas sports. Well loved by the community. Obviously, like Hall of Fame player, top 25 all time. Just a standout guy.
Great pick. That's a fantastic pick.
Good pick.
Robbie, back to you.
I'm going to take a local guy for me. I think he's the greatest Panther of all time. He's one of the best personalities to ever grace the NFL. That's going to be Steve Smith. Steve Smith in his prime was the man. Ice up son.
Get him a problem, so to speak.
He was a problem, and he's a great personality. He was a great Carolina Panther, so I'm going to go with Steve Smith.
Great pick. For my second pick and third on my list, I'm going in reverse order from bottom to top for me for the top four. My second pick or third on my list, someone who I more so watched towards the end of his career, but someone that I always admired, especially in terms of his play style, because I kind of tried to model that. Mr. Fundamental Tim Duncan of the San Antonio Spurs. Obviously, in my opinion, I think in most people's opinion, the greatest power forward of all time. I know he played center a lot, so there's kind of a debate there. For me, greatest power forward of all time, obviously the shut up and play method was always my preferred method. I was never huge into the trash talk or whatever, and so I always respected Tim Duncan for being able to succeed at a game. Just in, like I said, Mr. Fundamental, just in the most, this is what you do kind of way possible, and I always loved Tim Duncan for that.
A great pick. Great pick. Even though
stand-up guy.
Even though he did compete for the Spurs, obviously a pretty heated rival for our hometown team, and still to be on the Mount Rushmore, your favorite players, I think speaks magnitude to the dude he was.
The only technical foul he ever received was on the bench. And that was because he was laughing at a call at a ref made.
It was fucking hysterical.
Scott Foster, wasn't it?
Scott Crawford.
Oh yeah.
Joey Crawford.
I knew it was one of those really problematic refs.
It's Crawford.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Hysterical. My number 2 guy is dude I loved growing up and watching. He was when I was an Oklahoma State fan growing up because both of our parents went there. Led that team to probably one of the most successful seasons Oklahoma State ever had. Then played for our hometown team. Bit of a jackass. Got in trouble some. I think at one point top 3 NFL wide receiver. I mean, the dude was a problem. The Cowboys. Connor knows where I'm going with this. It'll be Dez Bryant. Cowboy in college, cowboy in the pros.
He caught the ball.
Say it for the people in the back.
He got the ball.
Man was a problem. Man is always entertaining. Was in the news even after he was out of the league. I mean, he was influential to growing up and everything. So I got to put Dez on that list.
I had a lot of kids in high school that I knew that he actually Dez a lot of time. He's still in the area and he actually plays basketball at Lifetime Fitness near us. And a lot of kids in high school played basketball with him, which was kind of funny. I never ended up doing it, but I just knew a lot of people who did. Robbie, your next pick.
For my next pick, I'm going to go to the sport that I probably enjoy playing the most currently. It's really the only sport that I consistently play. I showed up these two guys actually not too long ago in this specific sport.
Very true.
It's the man that probably got most people into golf, Tiger Woods. There's just something about watching Tiger Woods play golf, even if he's not at the top of his game. But he is the greatest golfer of all time, the most influential golfer of all time, and I think he's the person who got almost everyone into golf.
Yeah, I think it's a great pick.
Tiger is way more of the most influential golfer of all time than he is the GOAT of all time.
I could see that.
Golfer.
Y'all got to watch the HBO documentary on Tiger. It was really good and very interesting. It would be good for you, Connor. It would catch you up on some history.
No, 100%. My third pick and second on my list, another one that I think people are going to find kind of interesting. A few of these picks are kind of just people that I really enjoyed watching. This guy, unfortunately, his career was plagued by injury, but I truly believe this. I believe if he didn't have all the injuries that he had, I think he would be in the discussion of the top 10 best NBA players of all time. Tracy McGrady. I think Tracy McGrady, it just in terms of the way that he played, obviously the 13 points in 33 seconds is iconic, and nobody's ever topped that to this day. But Tracy McGrady, in terms of the way he played, he was freakishly athletic. He was a good shooter. He was a pretty good defender. But his career was plagued with injuries, and he never got to the potential that I think a lot of people thought he could. And like I said, I have the utmost praise for him. I legitimately think he could be in that conversation if he didn't have those injuries. But yeah, Tracy McGrady's my third pick there.
That's a good pick. Connor is picking basketball players from rival teams, and I actually find it really amusing.
That's true, actually.
He's gotten.
Well, he was on a few. Hey, Tracy was on a few different teams.
He still doesn't have a Mav, by the way.
It might be coming.
Yeah. He has 2 other Texas teams. He's not have a Mav yet.
You're right.
So I took the number 1 Mav.
You did.
Mean, it's super early in my third player's career. It has not hit his prime yet. Is him. I mean, he is physically him. Top 5 player in the NBA currently. We get to see him hopefully for another 10 to 15 years playing at this level of play, and he's really exciting to watch. But already, I'm going to be putting Luka Doncic on my Mount Rushmore of favorite athletes all time.
L take.
That's fine. You're an L person.
Ryan is just me writing the map.
Yeah, it's crazy. I can't believe it. Oh,
I'm upset. I got to. The dude is like revital. You know, everyone wasn't sure who was going to be taking the reins on the Mavs after Dirk retired. There's definitely a season of just like, what are we going to have? And to get the next white dude,
the white European,
in. Be like, oh shit, we're picking up right where we left off.
Yeah, exactly. He's just slightly shorter.
With my last face of my Mount Rushmore, I'm gonna take my first basketball player. I've taken a lot of basketball players so far in this.
True.
I'm gonna take he's the greatest Charlotte Hornet since the team came back from not being existing anymore. He had one of the greatest runs in college basketball history. Absolutely willed the UConn Huskies to a championship, one of the most memorable shots in all of college basketball history. No matter how bad the Hornets were, he was still there playing hard. Somehow got a team to the playoffs. Don't really know how, but that's going to be Kemba Walker.
Cardiac Kemba.
That Kemba UConn run
crazy
is a top 10, I think, like North American like Cinderella story. Maybe top 5. I mean, it was truly unbelievable, like going back and seeing all that.
The step back that he hits in the Big East tournament is probably one of the most iconic basketball shots, at least in college basketball, maybe the most. Maybe Chris Jenkins' game winner, but like other than that.
How many feet/inches do you think he covered in that set? Because it's outrageous how far he reaches that left foot back.
So far back. I'm sure there's like a sports science out there somewhere on how far he actually went back.
Also, I mean, a lot of these moments are enhanced by great commentary calls, and I think that was one of them. I mean, the cardiac Kemba call.
Kemba, step back.
Yeah. I think it's great. That's a great pick. Yeah, Kemba Walker. I mean, unfortunately, has dipped obviously a little bit in the last few years.
His knees just didn't hold up, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, my last pick, unfortunately, someone that has already been mentioned. The man that brought me the only championship that I've seen in my lifetime in 2011. It has to be Dirk Nowitzki. Like Ryan said, stand-up guy, obviously incredibly skilled. I think second, third greatest power forward of all time. And just have so much respect for that man, and especially the way that he was an athlete, but also the way that he was a person and built kind of the community around Dallas, and all that. So yeah, tons of respect for Dirk, and he's my favorite athlete of all time.
My last pick is a guy that was pretty influential for me for growing up playing baseball. I actually got to meet the man in person, and he autographed a ball for me at a Wingstop on a random Super Bowl Sunday. Most random thing ever in my life. This guy goes by the name of Josh Hamilton. He was an absolute stud for the Rangers for a period of time. I'm right at
really good skier from what I heard.
Interesting. I did not. Oh, my bad. Yeah.
He unfortunately did partake in hitting the slopes. Derailed what I think talent-wise was a Hall of Fame career, to be honest. All the drug use and alcoholism really affected his body. Even with that happening, he was an MVP, 3-time Silver Slugger, willed the Rangers to a couple of World Series, batting title, 5-time All-Star, and was in and out of the league with injuries and all that type of shit.
Mhm.
Most memorable sports moment for me, for him, is his home run derby first round in the season before the new Yankee Stadium was put in. It was the last All-Star game. It was in the old Yankee Stadium. Dude, I think he launched like 30 home runs in the first round of the home run derby.
Yeah.
He ended up losing
He
the home run
lost
derby
that.
because the setting that they had. It was the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen in sports. Wild. I have his rookie card. I have his autographed baseball. Like, he was the dude. He was the dude for me growing up. So.
Yeah. Robbie, you gave all 4, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We're background. We'll do some honorable mentions.
Yeah. Do you have any?
I do. I have one like recent one that's probably been my favorite since I've been an Alabama fan. Starting school there, I obviously wasn't really a fan before I started school there.
Mm-hmm.
People will say he's not an Alabama quarterback, and they're just wrong. Jalen Hurts is an Alabama quarterback, and probably my favorite current Alabama player that's playing in the pros.
Me too.
Another one. I grew up a big Kobe guy. Really like Kobe playing basketball. He just played it in his own way.
Yeah.
I guess you could say he played like MJ, but I never saw MJ play, so don't care.
Based.
Those probably my top 2 honorable mentions. I'm trying
Yeah.
to think if I have another one. Baseball, maybe Chipper Jones. Chipper Jones is a lot of fun to watch. Bobby Cox too, just watching him get ejected. I was actually in Atlanta when he broke the record for most ejections by a manager all time. That was electric.
That's hysterical.
So Bobby Cox and Chipper Jones for a baseball one, but those are probably my biggest ones.
Jalen Hurts is a great one. Again, one of the rivalry teams, but
a great one.
But I have so much respect. Like, he just seems like such a good guy. Like, I just have so much respect.
Exactly.
It's funny because, like, Ryan and I talked about this, obviously, but when the Eagles were in the Super Bowl or whatever, obviously, like, Dallas fans have a huge aversion to Philadelphia fans because a lot of them aren't very nice, and vice versa. I'm not going to say the Dallas fans are completely innocent either, but I mean, you see the post game like press conferences of like Jalen Hurts and Jason Kelsey, and you're like, holy crap, these are like the best guys in the NFL. Like, why do we hate this team so much? They're
like,
so nice.
Jalen coming off the bench when Tua got hurt in the SEC championship to come back and beat Georgia is probably my favorite moment as an Alabama. But we didn't even win a national championship. But him getting the chance to come back in and win that game, such a good moment.
If you pitched that like whole storyline of Jalen Hurts, nobody would pick it up because it's not believable.
Right.
Like, legitimately, it's a Hollywood story to the fact that he's now, the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Like, went through all this adversity, nenever gave up. Like, he
never had a bad. I mean, from what I heard, he never had like a bad attitude either. He was never pissy about
never.
it.
Also, the tip. So him getting pulled and Tua winning the national championship and Jalen then going in and winning the SEC championship is showing why Nick Saban is the greatest coach of all time. Because who has the balls to do that? Twice.
No, you're right. Yep.
Twice.
With the same 2 kids. It's just like the flipped around. It's crazy.
Jalen's been interviewed. He says, I would have pulled my ass too.
Yeah, he wasn't playing well, to be fair.
He was like, that was the correct decision to do.
We were not winning that game with Jalen Hurts. We wouldn't have won that game.
Some honorable mentions on my end. One that's a little more recent, but kind of in the same vein as the Tim Duncan one. Kawhi Leonard. They play very similar. Obviously, we're on the same team. The kind of Kawhi's rookie years were kind of formed by Tim Duncan and Popovich. Obviously, kind of that same kind of style where he's quiet killer kind of thing. I've always respected the 2-way play. Also, for me, on long list, it was Josh Hamilton. Obviously, growing up, that was a big part of my older brother's life and therefore kind of my life. And I watched the 2011 World Series, 2012 World Series, and Hamilton was obviously the best player on that team. And then another one for me that was long listed, the last one, Jason Witten, the former tight end of the Dallas Cowboys. Another great guy, and just someone who, unfortunately, it felt like, for as good as he was, almost wasted their career in Dallas. Like, I don't want to say wasted their career because obviously how many accomplishments he had, but it's like we were never super elite, unfortunately, and I think Witten deserved a little more than that. But yeah, so that's kind of my long list and honorable mentions. All right,
honorable mention for me, Tony Romo.
Yep.
Better than Eli Manning. Don't give a shit what anybody says.
Wow.
Would take Tony Romo over Eli Manning in any football game ever. Jalen's a good one.
Sure.
Kobe's a good one. But definitely got to go with Braun. I mean, he has been elite for as long as I have watched sports, right? Best player on earth for like a decade, right? Like, he's always in the conversation of top 3. I mean, still top 10 in the league. I mean, it's his longevity, his dominance, his.
Is this the right time to talk about our discussion from CC's regarding LeBron James?
I
Remind me?
our mental gymnastics that LeBron is actually 1-9 in the finals.
If you would like to.
So we were at CC's Pizza post moving some of Ryan's things this past weekend. And
As you do, you always go to CC.
you gotta go to CC. We were talking about LeBron James, and we came to the conclusion that actually LeBron doesn't deserve 3 of his titles. And is actually 1-9. And I'm gonna go through and tell you which 3 of those titles don't count. First one, Mickey Mouse title, didn't count. That was rigged. ESPN rigged it. The mouse rigged it. Doesn't count. Number 2. Ray Allen saved that man's legacy. If it wasn't for Ray Allen, LeBron might have never won one with the Heat.
Yeah.
Saved by Ray Allen.
It's really that simple.
And then the third one,
Kyrie.
Yeah. Everyone remembers the block from that game, but if Kyrie doesn't hit that 3 over 2 people, they don't win that game either. So he got saved by Kyrie. So
yeah, I was just meat writing LeBron, but now Robbie is on the other side of the spectrum. Is like he should be 1-9,
and like
sucks,
LeBron.
actually.
In my mind, LeBron James is 1-9 in the finals.
If we want to talk
in my mind,
we want to talk about like the Thunder one, like those guys weren't at their prime yet. Like that wasn't the prime Thunder team. Yeah.
Whereas that was So we actually did somehow get to that he was 0-10.
We tossed him a bone. Felt bad.
Yeah.
He's kind of mid, so
remember
like,
that. Yeah, he is mid for sure.
So yeah, after that, we're gonna get into some news. We're gonna kick off with the NBA. So the NBA used Richard Jefferson, and on social media they announced that an in-season tournament will be in effect essentially for this upcoming season. This has kind of been in the works for a while. Obviously, when the play-in came into effect and when that was implemented, everyone kind of theorized that there may be an in-season tournament, kind of to basically make teams care more about the regular season, try to make teams not do load management as much, all that stuff. So I have the description of the in-season tournament. I'm going to read all that, and then we'll kind of give our thoughts and opinions on it. So the tournament will be divided into 6 pools with 5 teams apiece, and pools will consist of teams within the same conference, but not necessarily the same division. Teams will play 4 group games, matching up with each team in their pool once, with winners advancing to a single elimination stage. Each squad will have 80 games on their initial regular season schedule, while those who don't qualify for elimination games in the tournament will have 2 more games added. The 2 teams who compete for the championship will play 83 total regular season games. In addition, statistics for the games will count towards regular season totals aside from the championship game. The tournament begins on November 3rd with the championship game coming on December 9th, and the final 4 will take place at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada at the top of December. What do we think? What do we think of the NBA in-season tournament?
Changing it up. I'm always down to see like Silver do something different, right? I'm down.
I think it's trying to get them to stop resting everyone all the time, right? Isn't that the whole goal behind this? Is like,
correct,
let's get our best players playing more often, which I think it'll do. I think because they get a nice incentive for winning the tournament, do they not? I think they get some type of bonus if they win it.
$500,000.
Is it $500,000? I mean, in terms of a payroll, though,
not a lot.
What is that?
Well, it's big. It's big to the guys at the end of the bench, though.
Yeah, is it? I guess vet mins are like $1 million, like over. I get what you're saying. But I think
get 50% of your salary if your team wins. I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty important.
But apparently, I think they were labeling like whoever wins this as the NBA like Cup winner or something along those lines. It's called like the NBA
sense.
Cup. But yeah,
because you have like the FA Cup in England, which is like all of the teams from all of the divisions playing a tournament. It's the same type of idea.
So again, I obviously, as Ryan said, $500K in terms of an individual person can make a big difference, but obviously on a team salary, that doesn't make a huge difference. So I don't know what I would have changed in terms of like trying to incentivize teams more to make sure that they don't rest, because it could go overboard. Like I don't want to be like, oh, you win this tournament and you get like a guaranteed lottery pick. It's like, oof, like that's a little much kind of thing. So I don't know. I'm over the idea. Adam Silver, I think so far is straight dubs, like best commissioner we've seen in sports, I think in a long time in Adam Silver. So I love that he's trying something new, and I'm excited for it. I just wonder how it's going to work out.
Let's go ahead and make our predictions for the in-season tournament next year.
Oh God, you're putting me on the spot. Come on, bro.
You got to pick it right now, and you're stuck with this take for the rest of the summer.
Oh God, you suck.
And I will make note of this, and I will bring it up whenever the in-season tournament happens in December.
No. Who's gonna win? Let's see. Do you have a team in mind?
Yes,
I do.
Go, you guys go. Give me a little bit. Okay, come on.
I'm not giving you my idea. You clearly don't have one.
You ready? You ready for this take?
Yep.
Boston Celtics. I think the Boston Celtics. Oh, really? I think the Boston Celtics, and I think this primarily because I think a lot of teams, other than the Nuggets with Jokic and Murray, I think that a lot of teams currently that are kind of, I think you would label as elite, have some of their top players are a little older, whether it be like Kevin Durant or some of the other, whether it be like Kawhi Leonard, some of those guys that are a little older where they might need a little bit more load management, whereas the Celtics are pretty young between Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and Porzingis. I think that those guys have probably a better chance of not resting as many games, and so therefore probably have the most consistently good team throughout the regular season.
I'm on a similar train of thought of you, Connor. I think like this really favors the young guys in this tournament because I don't think, one, that it necessarily gets rid of load management, and two, like the older guys are not going to be incentivized to play hard in this tournament.
Yep.
I still don't see that. So I'm gonna go with the team that we were really high on last year. They really let us down, but a really good young core. I'm gonna give it to the New Orleans Pelicans
to win the whole. I don't know. I mean, I respect it, but I don't know about
season tournament.
I'm sure you get good odds on that bet.
Yeah,
I bet I would. I want to take an underdog. You know, I don't want to take a team that just made the Eastern Conference
Celtics.
Finals.
Going with the Celtics.
Yes.
Group I think is also the easiest to come out there.
I haven't looked at the groups.
Nets, Raptors, Bulls, and Magic.
Heavens.
The disrespect to Paolo like that?
Yeah. So here we are. If you want me to break down the groups, I can.
Please.
Yeah, give us the groups. I have not seen the groups.
We got group 1 is the 76ers, the Cavs, the Hawks, the Pacers, and the Pistons. Group 2, we got the Bucks, Knicks, Heat, Wizards, and Hornets. Group 3, Celtics, Nets, Raptors, Bulls, Magic. Group 4, Grizzlies, Suns, Lakers, Jazz, Blazers.
That's pretty stacked other than the last two.
That's super stacked.
Nuggets, Clippers, Pelicans, Mavs, Rockets.
That could be lit, except for the Rockets.
Yeah. Group 6, Kings, Warriors, T-Wolves, Thunder, and Spurs.
That's a lot of
That's
young.
also a fun group.
Yeah, it's a lot of like younger.
KC young group going against Wemby, and then whatever the fuck's happening in Minnesota. Old Warriors and Kings that are young and fun. So Group 6, I think, is going to be the one to watch for sure coming out of the West.
That'll be interesting. Also, to add another positive to this, like obviously we see a lot of the matchups or whatever throughout the 30 teams of regular season, but obviously this will give us more of a chance to see some of the bigger stars compete against each other more, obviously because like the All-Star game doesn't really do that. So this will maybe give us more of a chance to see that. So yeah, that'll be cool too. So moving on from that, that's probably the biggest news that we have. But moving on from that, Greg Popovich has signed a 5-year, over $80 million deal with the San Antonio Spurs. Yeah, no surprise there. I think before the highest contract was Monty Williams. I think it was around 5 years, $78 million. Obviously, Popovich surpassing that. They want him there, right, for Wembanyama's development. Obviously, so
is this Pop's last contract?
I think so. He's already the winningest NBA coach of all time. I think he probably wants to get Wembanyama.
He's there to develop Wemby and
go.
Yep, yeah, exactly.
Hand off the reins to somebody else. But yeah, that's a great contract for him. Obviously, that's you have to re-sign the winningest coach of all time in the NBA. So moving on into some summer league news. Obviously, you guys can kind of interject here and there. Unfortunately, Portland Trailblazers rookie Scoot Henderson's summer league debut came to an early end Friday when he suffered a right shoulder injury in the second half, and he was ruled out for the rest of the game in Las Vegas. I haven't seen any updates of that injury. I don't think he was particularly super serious, but again, they're examining it, and obviously that sucks because that was his first game. Like that, brutal.
It doesn't matter. The Blazers are spanking the Spurs again tonight.
I heard that Scoot, like before he got hurt, was playing very, very well. I heard he looked great. So and I don't think there was much of a surprise.
He's actually having a good game tonight too.
Yeah.
They're just through the third quarter. Wemby's got 17.
So yeah, in reference to Wembanyama's first game, it did not go as well as I think people would have hoped. In Wembanyama's summer league debut, he finished with 9 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 5 blocks, while going 2 of 13 from the field. And then in the post-game press conference, he said, "I had no idea what I was doing out there." So obviously not a huge vote of confidence.
Could you imagine, like, I don't think it's going to happen, but could you imagine if he ended up being a bust?
Like a horrible bust?
Yeah. Like the most hype prospect since LeBron, and he ends up being bad. Yeah. That would be wild. The thing is, like, I think inevitably, I don't think Wemby will ever live up to the expectations set forth for him because they were so high, right? Like almost unfairly high. But I don't think he's going to be a bust. But that would be wild. story.
In the NBA specifically, has there ever been a recruit that has lived up to the hype besides Braun and maybe Kobe?
Kobe wasn't drafted all that high.
Yeah.
But he was like a phenom in high school. Like he wasn't Braun level, but like
I think that like legitimately, I think you could say Tatum. Tatum was pretty recruited out of college.
Tatum
he was like number 3,
highly recruited. Yep.
And obviously he's like kind of really good right now.
The heir to Jordan level of like hype.
I mean, Jordan was the third pick. Hakeem was first.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You want to hear the number 1 college basketball recruits over the last 10 years?
KD. Like KD's done really well for himself, obviously.
That's a good one.
So number 1 college basketball recruit in 2014 was Emmanuel Mudiay.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, the Nuggets.
2015 was Ben Simmons.
Nice.
2016 was Josh Jackson.
Yeah, that's right.
2017 is Marvin Bagley.
Oh, he was a huge bust. He was actually decent for a little bit, but then he was terrible.
2018 was RJ Barrett.
He's fine.
2019 was Anthony Edwards.
He's good.
2020 is Cade Cunningham.
Yeah.
2021 was Chet Holmgren, to be determined.
To be determined.
And then 2022, in terms of players that went to college, I don't think Wemby counts in this, would be Nick Smith.
Who was over Zion?
Barrett.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
2018, yeah.
Yeah, because they played together. They went to the same. I don't know, man.
This is from 24/7 Sports, so
I think
and also the 2023 number 1 rated recruit right now is Ron Holland, who is undecided currently.
I think coming out of college, people thought that Barrett would be more skilled than Zion, like with ball handling wise and shooting wise and all that. And I think people expected that, and I think that was the case probably for the first year or so. But I think that a lot of people actually thought that Zion would probably end up being better, and he is at this point if he ever steps on the court again. Like he will be.
But people called it from a mile away that he was going to deal with a lot of injuries based on the way he played and how big he was.
He's too big. He can't be jumping around the way he does. Even though he can do it, his joints don't hold up.
People called that from a mile away. That was the number 1 knock on him. It wasn't
because everyone was like, he's built like Charles Barkley, but he's way more athletic.
Yeah. Well, like, and that's what a lot of people like. Obviously, people make inappropriate jokes as it relates to like weight and stuff. But like, I remember seeing an article in like college, and his weightlifting coach said that he couldn't lift like consistently because he would put on too much muscle too fast. And that would like deteriorate his game, and that's part of it. What it is, it's like he's weighing down because he puts on so much muscle so fast that it hurts his joints, kind of thing.
He picked the wrong fucking sport.
Yeah, he should have been a football player.
Like legitimately.
What position does he play in football though?
Tight end. He's 6'7" or something like that.
Play running back. If you slim down a little bit,
he's too tall. He's too tall to play running back. So yeah, but kind of back to what we were talking about. Wembanyama, obviously not the hugest vote of confidence in that first game, but I think that I had no idea what I was doing out there. It's just something. It's like a young kid that just wants to kind of provide humility for the situation that we're in. He's just like, hey, I didn't play well, and I know I didn't play well, so let's try to get it back, kind of thing. So I no reason to panic. I don't no reason to he's an immediate bust. But obviously,
or he didn't know what he's doing because he has too much fun in Vegas the night before. Also an option.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Wemby's got a double tonight, 20 and 10. Like he's chilling.
He's
solid. Yep.
So Robbie, did you want to mention Brandon Miller? Obviously, the newest draft recruit of the Charlotte Hornets.
I'm so excited for Brandon Miller to come and play.
I don't know any of his stat lines off the top of my head, but every time I check it, I just get sad. I just look at his stats. I'm like, damn, this dude sucks.
I'm
like, maybe he'll turn it around, but damn.
But like everybody, and like it wasn't. I feel like everybody was saying, even like Charlotte fans outside of Charlotte, everybody was like, "Yeah, Scoot is better than Brandon Miller." I think everyone knew that he was better.
They picked him because they didn't know if Scoot could play with LaMelo, which I think is dumb. But
yeah. But I mean, I think a lot of concerns, and I saw a lot of videos that people were really concerned about, like Brandon Miller has like no jumping ability, and it's really concerning because he's like a small forward and he's relatively tall. He just doesn't seem aggressive at all, and no jumping ability, kind of thing. It's just interesting.
So Hornets got spanked, lost by 20.
Oh,
yep.
To the Lakers. Brandon Miller, 29 minutes. Shot 4 for 18 from the field. 0 for 7 from 3. 8 boards, 4 assists to steal on 10 points.
What was his plus minus?
-10. The best in the starting unit.
Yeah, there you go.
There you
All right,
go.
we're good, baby.
I think
Plus
between
minus warrior.
Scott is an absolute liability at -22. Get that man
Who?
off the court. That
Who?
T Scott. I also hooed him by saying that T Scott.
It's Travis Scott. Actually, they recruited him just for the summer league.
So
Honestly, wouldn't be shocked.
So if you didn't know, for our listeners, in the NBA Summer League, you get 10 fouls every game instead of 6.
I forgot about that.
And I believe Brandon Miller had 8 apiece in his first 2 games. I think he totaled like 16 fouls.
He had 4 tonight on 29 minutes. We're chilling. We're good. That's a
He's
positive
figuring it out, man. He's figuring it out.
0 for 7 from 3, by the way.
That's
Nice.
Hey, he'll find a shot. Hey, shooters go cold sometimes. That's all right.
So one more thing about the rookies finding his way into the headlines very quickly after he got drafted, Victor Wembanyama once again. If you didn't hear, there was an altercation in between one of his security guards and Britney Spears, of all people, the other night, to where reportedly Britney Spears came and tried to tap Wembanyama on the shoulder at a club, or I believe it was a hotel, and allegedly the security guard struck her in response to that, and apparently no charges will be filed following this altercation. And apparently the two sides have both mutually apologized to each other after Spears put out a statement saying that she hadn't gotten an apology. Apparently both sides have now done that. No charges will be pressed. So nothing to look at, obviously. And I think a lot of people were like blaming Wembanyama for not saying anything outright. And I get it in the sense like he's a young kid and it's like he's really trying not to get in trouble. Like he just got in the league kind of thing. It's like I'm sure that if he thought it was something more serious than it was, he would have said something.
And his security guard did it, so he might not have known the full story.
Exactly.
He doesn't want to come out and say anything when he doesn't know what's going on.
He said that he didn't know that it was Britney Spears until like hours after it happened. Like he had no idea what was happening because there were apparently a lot of people around, a lot of fans and whatever. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think it was a little bit of an overblown story. Obviously, like if he, you should never just hit somebody, but like I think it was a little overblown.
Also, just one last moment of the summer league right now. The Rockets played today. They play the Pistons. And Jabari Smith Jr. went for a 40-piece in the summer league. Dude's looking real good in summer ball.
Shout out Jabari Smith. He had a quote the other day where somebody asked him, I think it was like, why are you playing in the summer league? Because obviously he was in the starting unit of the Houston Rockets last year. And the dude was like, I'm 20. Like, I feel like I should be playing with my team, my new teammate. Yeah, he said I should be getting better and I should be playing with my new teammates. And everyone in the comments was like, W say. You got a new fan.
He led the game in minutes. The dude's out there just like hooping.
Jabari Smith is good. He was good last year. He was fine.
My guy just loves ball. He just wants to play.
He just wants to
let the dude cook.
If you're a Rockets fan, you're thrilled with this.
He's like
you got some young guys that actually give a shit.
He's like a Kevin Durant, but like not annoying.
He doesn't have Twitter burners.
He doesn't have Twitter accounts.
I was thinking the same thing, Connor.
Continuing on with some
loves ball.
Continuing on with some of the NBA headlines. Currently, Damian Lillard is in the midst of trade talks. Obviously, he requested a trade from Portland a few weeks ago. And apparently his agent is continually saying that Lillard only wants to end up in Miami. Apparently, Miami is the only absolute destination for Damian Lillard. And so currently, Portland is not interested in any deals. I believe that involved Tyler Hero, I believe was the report. And so they're trying to make a 3-team trade, maybe even a 4-team trade workaround so they can get Lillard to Miami. I'm not saying that I'm not going to say that I'm shocked because obviously he wants to go to a contender so he can actually play for a title kind of thing. But I mean, they're working their way around to try to get him to Miami. So
what would that trade even look like?
I mean, I don't think we can speculate because it's going to be a 3-team trade.
The Blazers want 4 first-round picks for David.
Yeah,
which I see. I mean, how many did Gobert?
That's what.
Timberwolves are smoking crack, man. I remember that came out. I was like, the Jazz robbed teams blind.
Yeah,
Danny Ainge, bro. Danny Ainge knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He did the same thing to the Nets.
Be a fucking problem.
Yeah.
Like, they were already decent last year. We thought they were going to be like absolute fucking basement of the West.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like now they got like 8th graders on deck.
8th graders on deck.
They got LeBron's other son coming up. For
literally.
Moving on there. Quick one. DeJounte Murray has signed a 4-year, $120 million extension with the Atlanta Hawks. I think that's a
good deal for the Hawks.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Agree.
I think that dude, like, obviously played himself out a bit of money But the Hawks are like, hey, like we believe, but we don't believe
You and Trey can
that
do
much. Like I don't know what else he would have gotten anywhere else.
What are the Hawks? Obviously, Robbie being
suck.
kind of
They
local
suck.
Atlantean.
It's gonna be mid for forever.
Yes.
Mid for forever.
They're gonna be like
They're gonna
Portland.
continue to make the playoffs, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Go absolutely mild into the night, losing first or second rounders.
Yikes! Especially after losing John Collins. It's like, where are we at now? Like, they're gonna be even more mid. And then the last NBA headline I have: Kobe Bryant has been announced to be the cover athlete of NBA 2K24. No other choice, the correct choice. So shout out that. And the covers look good. A lot of them look really good. Obviously, Kobe wearing 24 at one point in his career.
It's great. It's great. Was he on 2K8 too? That'd be sick.
I think he's been on a few. I don't think. I don't
know
know.
He's been on them before. I just can't remember if he was on 2K8. That would actually be sick.
Yeah,
I have no idea. It was Chris Paul on the Hornets. That hurts.
That hurts.
Definitely not Kobe.
I have one more thing real quick.
Please
Kobe now has the most 2K covers of any athlete.
Yeah. That's what I saw. I knew I saw something. Oh wow.
Yeah. So anyway,
That's crazy. Moving on from the NBA, we didn't have any NFL headlines or news, but I did still want to include the NFL in the podcast because obviously the football is our biggest sport, our most covered sport. We're going to talk a little bit about fantasy football, and we're going to make some predictions here, gentlemen. We're going to predict the top 5 fantasy running backs of this upcoming year. And we're just going to go through and list our thoughts and give our reasonings.
Connor, why don't you start us out?
Am I starting
PPR?
us out?
Start us out.
Yeah. We'll say PPR. I'm going to start us out, and I'm going to go with Cleveland Browns running back Nick Chubb. I think that is a pretty safe bet, especially considering that Kareem Hunt is no longer in the fold. I think Deshaun Watson is going to be even more comfortable in the Cleveland Browns system, especially after last year, after not getting many reps with the team. Nick Chubb just proved how elite he was last year and the year before, and I think that he doesn't slow down at all. I think maybe he even picks up the pace, as I said, not splitting the carries in the backfield anymore. And I think Nick Chubb just has a dominant year and is easily top 5.
So are we doing this like collectively, or are we each taking 5?
I mean,
should we make an official Bros in the Berg list? Do we have to either say yes or no to each person's person that they put up there?
Yeah, sure.
I like Nick. I like the Nick Chubb pick. I think I don't know that the departure of Hunt is going to have that much an effect on Chubb, but I do think you're right. I think Deshaun Watson being more comfortable, being able to push the ball down the field a little bit, will have a bigger impact.
So, Robbie, you want to give us our next possible pick?
I'm going to go with the best PPR running back. I don't think it's super debatable as long as he's healthy. I think he stays healthy this year. I think he figures it out, and that's going to be Christian McCaffrey.
Yep. I'm
You don't think?
we're getting a no there.
Okay.
I don't think he stays healthy. I think the 49ers have a ton of offensive weapons. There's a lot of question marks at quarterback. And
That's true.
I think he probably due to injury falls outside of the top 10.
Wow. Okay.
And
Does this have to be unanimous? Like we all have to agree to include them in the top 5?
yes, I think we all have to agree.
The Ryan's saying no. He thinks I would agree with you, but obviously,
I'm just going to say no to all of Ryan's picks now. Get
That's
shit
fine.
on.
Yeah.
Stupid idiot.
obviously
We're
Ryan.
gonna be going to be like in. I think it'll be Simon J. P. Ryan.
Oh heavens! All right, Ryan, give us our next possible pick.
Next possible pick. And Robbie's going to say no, which is fine. He's ugly. But you're going to see Breece Hall in the top 5 of PPR running backs at the end of the season.
I'm going to say no. I think Breece Hall is going to be good. And to be honest, I kind of left him off my list unintentionally. But with the addition of Aaron Rodgers, I don't know if he's going to be as dominant as he was last year.
I also don't think he's coming off an injury. I don't think that they're going to give him a lot of touches in the first few weeks, and that's going to hurt his chances of finishing top 5.
No, they said he's going to be ready for training camp.
Oh.
He's going to be ready, but that doesn't mean you're going to roll him out there and give him 20 touches a game like he was getting last year.
Right.
So I guess
I just wanted to throw a little bit of a curveball.
I respect it.
A lot of people are thinking of him being top 5, but
I like that.
He's got the talent, especially where we saw last
year.
So
right now we only have Nick Chubb. All right, back to Connor.
Another young guy, a guy that we've talked about before, a guy that will be absolutely fed due to the lack of throwing ability on this team. I'm going to go with Bijan Robinson of the Atlanta Falcons finishing in the top 5.
He was going to be the next one I was going to say as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
It feels weird, like confidently say like yes, a rookie.
Dude,
He's
he's
top
so
5 in
good.
PPR, but he is so good, and he is the best playmaker on that team.
I've been saying since
Already.
He might be the best playmaker in the division.
Ooh, there's a take. I like that take.
Hey, Adam Thielen. We're just gonna forget about
Oh
him.
yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say Miles Sanders, but
Yeah.
like,
I thought Adam Thielen was funnier. That's why I went with that. It's the only reason.
So currently on our list, we got Nick Chubb, and then we got Bijan Robinson. Robbie, who's the possible next one?
I'm gonna take a guy. He's getting up there. I think a lot of people are writing him off because he's on another team that is going to be physically incapable of throwing the ball.
very well.
Oh,
Derrick Henry. He's still a monster.
know,
He's half robot at
I
this
know.
point. It doesn't matter how old he is.
I struggle with
If you just
him.
give me the second half of the season, Derrick Henry, because that's when everyone else is tired and he somehow keeps
Yes.
getting
Yeah, true.
stronger.
You're right.
It's actually
It doesn't
like
make
he's a
any sense,
Terminator. It's very
It doesn't
odd.
make any sense.
Oh, I was.
His foot actually is almost entirely metal because they just put a plate in it. So he
He's
is
like-
actually a Terminator.
He's like 6 for me. He's like right there.
It's a tough one.
And
I
it's
think it really
also,
depends on how bad the Titans are.
and I also think that like us doing kind of the PPR also kind of affects it because Henry has become a better pass catcher in the last like 3 or 4 years.
Yes.
I'll 100% give him that. But still, the Titans are still not very good at utilizing their running backs in a passing
And
sense.
God only knows who they're going to roll out at quarterback. Is the other thing too. Like, I really don't
He
know.
doesn't know.
So he could still be getting 30 carries a game. He probably will still be getting 30
Exactly.
carries
Yeah,
a game.
I
he's
think
going
he
to be
will.
getting 30 carries a game. It doesn't matter.
I'm gonna say no. I don't think he finishes top 5. I feel bad because he's like 6
I
for
know.
me. He's close.
He's very close.
All right.
Doesn't matter what I say because Connor said no,
Yeah.
apparently. Little bitch.
All right, Ryan, who you got?
With the new quarterback at the helm, obviously pretty green. It's going to be a very big question mark on the quarterback position. But I think Jonathan Taylor finishes top 5 after a little bit of a disappointing season last year to be the unanimous number 1 pick. Disappointing just the fact that he had all that expectations on him, even though he had a decent season, not great. I think he bounces back and finishes top 5.
Where did he finish last year? Do we know?
I don't know.
Low because he was hurt so much.
Oh, that's right. I think I'm probably inclined to agree. He was again one that for me was fringe top 5. But given that we didn't give Henry the nod, I think that I'll probably lean towards Taylor
Yeah.
with that.
We're running out of options.
Yeah.
Solely because of that. I think.
No,
But I do think. Anyways, I think he will as well.
I think that's fair. And it's
I'd love to see some like spread option stuff with him and Anthony Richardson too. I think that would actually be sick. I know that's not what he really ever ran in his career because he's at Wisconsin, but I think that would actually be a good opportunity for him. I think your concern is how much does Richardson vulture? Is he a Jalen Hurts that he's taking all of the goal line touchdowns?
Yes,
because that could get you into trouble.
Yeah.
That's a valid.
That'd be my biggest concern with Jonathan Taylor.
Great analysis, Robbie. That was fantastic.
Thank
Good
you.
job. Yeah.
Thank you.
For my next possible pick, I'm going to go to someone that I think really showcased their potential this past year, and I think will continue to do so. Hopefully, they re-sign him. I'm going to go Saquon Barkley. I think Saquon Barkley finishes top 5.
I think Saquon's the most talented running back in the NFL.
There it is.
Potentially.
Yeah.
I think just like in terms of overall game, he can do whatever you ask him to do. He's had some rough quarterback play, but Danny Dimes is starting to figure it out.
He was decent last year.
He's starting to figure it out.
Danny
I
Dimes'
agree.
Disrespect has been a little high in the last 2 seasons.
Watching him play last year was
receiver
fun.
room actually might be like brain dead.
Kenny Golladay didn't play. Like he just
He
didn't.
just straight up gave up.
It's crazy.
Sterling Shepard's not bad, but he can't stay healthy. So
Yeah.
Darius Slayton? I mean, Christ almighty. There's just shitters in that receiver room.
my guy's throwing to like the Iowa wide receiver room out there. Like Jesus Christ.
So currently we got Chubb, we got Bijan Robinson, we got Saquon Barkley, and we got Jonathan Taylor. Robbie, are you going to round us off with our 5th pick?
I feel like I got to get one here. I've had mine vetoed every time. I'm gonna say one that I don't think will, and he's gonna be at the top of a lot of people's rankings, but I just don't think he does it this year, and that's gonna be Austin Eckler.
Yeah,
I don't think he will either.
I agree.
It's like
I don't
a gut
think he's
feeling.
gonna get there this year. I don't know why either. I just don't feel it.
Yeah.
And it's weird to say that because if you look at his PPR, he was number 1 last year.
Yeah,
Right.
100%.
Numero
Right.
uno. Year before,
But he also scored
number 2.
Last year was a touchdown thing. He scored so many touchdowns last year. You're kind of looking at a regression there in terms of his touchdowns.
So he had 18 touchdowns last year. The year before, where he was number 2, he had 20 touchdowns. The year before that, he was hurt. But back in 2019, he finished in 4th. But he only had 11 touchdowns that year. So
and that I expect more like that number. Yeah, I expect more like that 11 to 12 number in terms of touchdowns.
I think for me, it comes down to a combination of things. I think one, he's older. He's nearing that. I think he's 29 or something around that.
Yeah, he's coming up to that 30 mark for running backs,
which
where
is kind
like,
of
just cut him loose, let him go to greener pastures type of thing.
I think that the Chargers' offensive line, I don't think really got better. I think it might have gotten worse in this past year. I think, and for me personally, I think that Justin Herbert's going to take a step up. I think this last season wasn't all his fault. I don't think that this last season was all his fault, because I mean, Keenan Allen was out with a lot of injury, and obviously he's getting up there, and Mike Williams is also getting a little older. But I think the Chargers drafted 2 new receivers that I think are both going to be pretty solid, and I think Herbert's going to develop that chemistry with them. And I think, unfortunately, in that development, in the young guys' development, I think Eckler might take a back seat. So I think it'll be interesting. But yeah, for me, it's more of just like a gut feeling.
And they were talking about trading him all offseason, and they didn't. Yeah. So it's like, all right, is he really going to be that involved in the offense? I don't know. Another one, if he was healthy, I'd feel better about, be Tony Pollard without Zeke there. I feel like Pollard is going to be great when he's in. I just don't know how he's going to be week 1. I'm gonna throw out a guy who's coming off a great contract year. He had to have a good year last year, and he did. Made some money. That's going to be Josh Jacobs. I think the quarterback situation there lends itself to where he's going to be able to run the ball well. Jimmy G gets his running backs involved. He does. I mean, he did that in the Niners the whole time. I think Josh Jacobs could be in for a pretty big year.
Interesting. I would probably guess Pollard would finish ahead of Jacobs. I think I would feel more comfortable.
When is Pollard going to be back week 1? I just don't know.
I thought they said that he was. I thought they said that he was going to be okay.
He plans to be ready for training camp.
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out who we round out at this 5 here. Honestly, I feel like
I'm between Pollard and Jacobs. Those are the 2 that I kind of had on my head.
They said Jacobs probably won't be ready for week 1 as of right now.
Jacobs or Pollard?
Jacobs will not be.
Oh, okay. Well, let's go with Tony Pollard then.
We're going with Tony Pollard.
A wild take. I love it.
Over Derek?
Let's do it.
Oh, we don't want to backtrack.
Derek and Eckler.
Derek and Eckler going Pollard.
All right, Connor, make a little thing for this for Instagram.
Yeah.
Make people really upset. Make sure that this gets put out there somewhere so people can rage at us.
So our top 5 fantasy running backs for the upcoming season include Nick Chubb, Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, and Tony Pollard of the Dallas Cowboys. Those guys finish in top 5. Absolutely. That's that's great. So awesome. Yeah, moving on to the next thing. Ryan, would you be okay if I swung it over to you for the MLB standings?
Absolutely, Connor. Thank you for swinging it over to me. Tonight was the last night of games, July 9th, before heading into the All-Star break. And for a lot of teams, that All-Star break could not come quick enough. Games will restart. Games will restart on the 14th of July. So an absolutely beautiful 5-day stretch for the MLB, which is crazy to think that that's all they get. After playing a crazy amount of games. For example, the Rangers leading up to the All-Star break played 17 games in 17 days. And don't worry, they finished 6-11 in those 17 games on a really bad slide. But we'll start over in the American League. Same shit, different day in the AL East. Absolutely disgusting show from all the
going
teams
into the
over
All-Star
there.
break over 500.
The Red Sox are 43, bringing in the basement of that division, and the 5 games over 500. I think it's wild that they potentially could miss the playoffs. So you got the Rays in first, you got the Orioles in second, the Blue Jays in third, and the Yankees in the Red Sox.
Seeing the Yankees and the Red Sox in the last 2. That is
just
so
coping and seething down there. Then you go down to the AL Central, completely different story. All the teams here suck. I mean, they're just all bad. Guardians are right at 500. Same with the Twins. Tigers are 11 games under. White Sox are somehow even worse, and the Royals are just happy they're not named Oakland A's.
The Royals are only like a half game up on the A's right now.
Yeah, 26 and 65. 20 games back of the Guardians.
They're in it.
It's tell you what, AL West, Rangers still holding on to a really slim 2-game lead over the Stros, who have come on really strong. Mariners actually only 6 games back. Angels only 7. I mean, the AL West is going to be super competitive in the second half of the season if the Rangers don't get their shit together. And then don't worry, the A's are 25-67. The Royals are 26-65. So it's going to be a race to the bottom. It's pretty exciting to watch. Over to the NL, Braves. The Braves are the first team to 60 wins on the season. They're doing it before the All-Star break. 60-29. That's a good half of baseball.
They had their last 31 games of this half. They went 25-6.
Yeah,
Oof.
it's pretty wild. They're the first team to also score 500 runs so far this season. The bats are alive. They're playing good defense.
They broke the record for most home runs before the All-Star break ever in MLB history.
Yeah. Braves are firing on all cylinders. Yeah. They're the team to beat in the National League. Followed by the Marlins, Phillies, Mets, and Nationals. Marlins, again, having a great season. Somehow only 8.5 games back at 53-39. They're definitely like front runners in the wild card, which is exciting for any Miami fans out there. Moving over to the Central, my new team, Cincinnati Reds, have been on an absolute fucking tear. Brought on by the name who has taken baseball by storm, that is somehow, not named Shohei Ohtani. And that would be De La Cruz.
Did you see him steal home yesterday?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah,
it was nuts. It was nuts.
He's 21 years old. I mean, he's doing it all. He's absolutely insane. Batting .325 as a 21-year-old, 900 OPS. Like, dude's nuts.
If he's not playing right now, might win NL Rookie of the Year. If he just stopped right now, still might win it. Like, honestly.
So you got them. The Brewers are a game back of them. Then you got the Cubs. Pirates have fallen off bad, and the Cardinals continue to have a pretty disappointing season at 38-52. And out west, Dodgers and Diamondbacks going into the All-Star break tied. Then you have the Giants 2.5 games back. Padres 43-47, still really disappointing for them. And the Rockies are playing some pretty rocky baseball. But yeah, that's rounding it out going into the old All-Star break. I was kind of trying to find the daily lines for the All-Star game. I think the AL is barely favored.
Have they announced the full home run derby lineup yet?
That I do not know.
I do not know.
A lot of players are saying no.
But to kind of round that out, as we've mentioned, we are going into the MLB All-Star break, and I actually have the list of the teams here, and I'm going to name the elected starters. Obviously, there are a lot of reserves and a lot of pitchers or whatever. I'm only going to name the elected starters for each conference.
I do have the home run derby matchups. If you'd like to hear those as well, I want to go into those before or after the starting lineups.
Let's do that before the starting lineups. Go ahead, Rob.
Okay. So you got the number 1 seed is Luis Robert Jr. He's going up against Adley Rutschman. Number 2 seed Pete Alonso is going up against Julio Rodriguez, who will be at home for the All-Star game. So might want to keep an eye on him. You got Mookie Betts versus Vlad Jr. That's a great matchup.
Yeah.
For the fans.
Yep. And then Adolis Garcia versus Randy Arozarena. So it's a pretty great lineup, all things considered. I think right now Pete Alonso is your betting favorite at plus 300. But I think you got to keep an eye on Julio Rodriguez at home in Seattle.
Sneaky.
He's going to have the fan support.
Yeah.
Could be a good pick there.
Could be a good pick.
So the current line for the actual All-Star game, which takes place on July 11th at 8 p.m. Eastern. The American League is favored by 1.5 runs, and the minus 122. The under is set at 7.5, or the line is set at 7.5, which is really low. Obviously, you have top tier pitching going against top tier hitting. So, and I don't know historical trends on All-Star game scoring, but when you look at baseball game scoring across daily games, you normally don't see lines any lower than 7.5. So that's a pretty.
I think
line to take.
You got to think about when you get in the playoffs, the teams with the best pitching beat teams with the best hitting. That's generally how it goes. Think about a Madison Bumgarner carrying a team. Yeah. Or there's so many examples that the pitchers can shut down good hitters. So I think that's why you say that line so low. I don't know the historical trends either. That'd just be my guess.
So yeah, going into the lineups for this All-Star game, I'm just going to go through the elected starters. In the American League, I got Jonah Heim We got Yandy Diaz. We got Marcus Semien. We got Josh Jung. We got Corey Seager. We got Mike Trout. Randy Rosarina. We got Aaron Judge. And we have Shohei Ohtani. Those are the elected starters. And then in the National League, we have Sean Murphy. We have Freddie Freeman. We have Luis Ariz. We have Nolan Arenado. We have Orlando Arcia. We have Ronald Acuna Jr. We have Mookie Betts. We have Corbin Carroll. And we have JD Martinez. Those are your elected starters for the National League. Obviously, some incredible talent there. Shohei is going to be playing the DH and the pitch and roll as he does.
Is he the starting pitcher too?
I believe he is the starting pitcher.
That's nuts. That's so cool.
So I think Garrett Cole is right behind him. So that's going to be interesting there.
Just a little bit of All-Star Game history. The American League has lost their last 9.
Wow, that's crazy.
Huh. Yep. Pretty nuts. And the under has hit the majority of the time.
There you go. And with the those lineups that I just announced, the Texas Rangers, believe it or not, will become the first team in 47 years to have 5 position players start in the All-Star game. Can you believe it?
Playing like shit.
After the last 2 years, though, can you believe that they have this many players? That's great. Great for Texas fans.
Definitely
but yes,
one of the feel-good stories of the year, for sure. The Rangers.
For sure. A kind of a miscellaneous thing here. The 2023 Women's World Cup rosters have now been finalized, obviously, because there are so many names. I will not be reading the full rosters.
Read the whole roster for every team in the World Cup. Go.
Thank you.
But if you would like to look that up, those are now finalized and announced. So yeah, we'll be cheering for our women's team.
Is the U.S. the favorite? I honestly have no idea.
I have not looked, so I do not know currently.
I would guess so, but I actually don't know. Here we go. Here's a quick article for you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the U.S. is the favorite to win at 5-2.
Nice.
England has the second best odds, followed by Spain, Germany, and France. So
very interesting.
U.S. versus Europe for this World Cup. It sounds like
it always is. It always is.
The way it should be. Can you imagine if we get a U.S. England final?
Oh wow!
That would go. That actually, I would watch.
I would say some things.
I would watch
that. So we have 2 more segments. We are going to get into our hot takes segment, where we find takes from across the internet. These aren't our personal takes; these are takes that we've seen from across the internet, and we just want to bring up on the podcast and kind of discuss if they have any merit or validity to them. And Robbie, you have 3 prepared. I'm going to come to you for the first one, my man. What do you got here for hot takes?
Yeah, so I was perusing the Bleacher Report community section because I just felt like there had to be some good content in there. I just really felt like there had to be some good stuff. So the first one we have here is related to the NBA.
Oh.
Someone just told me that if Steve Kerr was playing in today's NBA, he would lock up Steph Curry.
That's a troll. Has to be. Ain't no way. Not buying it.
Steve Kerr wasn't even like a good defender when he was playing.
I'm just reading the take for you, man. I just want to get y'all's thoughts on that. This was the second sentence in this is Jordan fans and their small brains need to be studied. So
Steph Curry is arguably the greatest offensive point guard of all time. Steve Kerr.
You joking?
Steve Kerr isn't even in the top 500 of defensive
Steve Kerr was a pretty decent scorer when they needed him, but yeah, he wasn't out there locking anyone up.
What are we talking about?
I thought that was funny thoh. I did appreciate that one.
I got a great one.
Oh right, guess we're going to Ryan. That's terrible, Robbie. I hated that.
Sorry, I just got to get this in. This is coming from an NBA player's mouth himself.
Oh no!
Which makes it even fucking
Paul
better.
George.
We're gonna throw the mic down to Houston with our the Rockets' newly acquired forward Dylan Brooks. Guard forward, play the 3.
Guard, yeah, 3.
He plays the bum position. I don't know what number that is, but
Dylan Brooks, quote: "I know every single night, guys are thinking of me. It's in their mind before the game even starts." End quote.
Probably think about how stupid that haircut is. Probably not much other than that.
I'm gonna read that first part again. I know every single night guys are thinking about me.
Good awesome. For him, man. Good for him.
I respect it. It's something.
It's a take.
You gotta love the confidence, though, right? I mean, if you're gonna be a great player, you gotta be confident in your abilities. But that is a take for sure. Yeah.
Oh man, that was
Oh no,
funny.
I think Draymond probably does think about him, just because Draymond likes to have beef with people. So
Yeah,
Draymond probably does actually think about him. But
You're welcome, Connor. I thought you.
I really like that.
Connor loved that one.
Yeah. So my first out of my 3 selections here. Here we go. Are you ready for this? NFL take, football take. Jordan Love will have a better year than Aaron Rodgers.
No.
Mm.
No, there's just no way.
That's what he said, man.
Sure. Actually, my next one goes perfectly with this comment.
Oh, okay.
We'll get to that in a second.
Any chance?
I think Jordan Love might be a little. No, I'm not even gonna say that. I don't think he's gonna be very good. I really don't. I just don't. I've seen nothing in Jordan Love that makes me think he's gonna be a good NFL starting quarterback.
Wow.
There you go.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and obviously Rodgers is older, but I still feel like, the man did win the MVP 2 years ago. And
the Jets have a good position players around him.
Wide
too.
receivers.
Let's not act like they're good wide receivers. They have Breece Hall. Like,
yep,
they're a pretty good team, all things considered.
The Packers have
the Jets would have made the
Christian Watson,
Romeo Dubs,
Romeo. Yeah.
Don't forget Lazard.
He's on the Jets.
Lazard's on the Jets now.
Oh, I zoned out. I'm gonna keep it a stack.
Oops. I think the Jets probably make the playoffs last year if they don't have to start Zach Wilson and Joe Flacco.
Yeah,
probably.
Dude, oh come on! Flacco was playing well whenever he was put in the game.
He was.
But don't put
Mike
respect
White
on Joe Flacco. Mike White was kind of cheeks.
Mike White, he threw for 400 yards in a game though.
You're right. Flacco was kind of balling low key.
Speaking of your New York Jets,
oh god,
this is a take I saw. It's confirmed the Jets are officially winning the Super Bowl, and Breece Hall will be named Super Bowl MVP.
Dude, what is with?
I mean, I was meat riding Breece Hall a little bit earlier, but that's something.
That's a take.
What is with like teams that get Aaron Rodgers and then becoming?
Oh my god, they lose their minds. They
They get on the perk 30s.
Golly. I
mean,
mean,
he's just got them all in ayahuasca.
If they,
I got one. Whenever
if the Jets somehow get to the Super Bowl and the Jets somehow win the Super Bowl, Breece Hall winning the MVP isn't the most inconceivable thing in the world to me.
Absolutely, yeah.
But we have to get to the Super Bowl first.
Do the Jets make the AFC Championship game? I don't think so. Personally,
you're getting through the Bills, Chiefs, and
Bengals.
Yeah.
Even the Dolphins. Dolphins are pretty good.
Yep.
It's gonna be hard. That's for sure. Yikes. Yeah, I don't love that take.
Easy.
Yeah.
I know. But I did like that it's confirmed.
Confirmed. Go ahead, Ryan.
That's a good one I saw. Throwing it back to the NFL from a blog called SB Nation. And they're talking about the hiring of Matt Patricia for the Lions. And they said, quote, Matt Patricia is the safest hire of the 2018 coaches.
Ryan likes to go back in the vault and pull stuff out.
I just love seeing shit that aged like milk. I mean, it's just like the Lions were horrible with Patricia.
Yeah.
They're still recovering for how bad that was.
Don't forget that he was also the Patriots offensive coordinator last year.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. Wow.
Why? Yeah, no wonder their offense sucked. He's a fucking defensive coach. What do you mean he's the offensive coordinator? Ridiculous.
Interesting take. I feel like you guys brought just completely outrageous ones. Here's one that I don't think.
My last one's a little bit more reasonable.
This one is, I don't know. This might be a good discussion. Here's the take. My second take. Joe Burrow wins MVP this season.
I don't think that's an awful take.
I think people meat ride him a bit, and that's like me being in Cincinnati. I think he's a little overrated, personally.
Okay.
Personally.
MVP is so hard to predict in the NFL because I feel like a lot of times the stats are going to be really close together. So it's like, whose team has the best season?
I think Josh Allen gets it this year.
Okay.
I think Josh Allen gets one?
Yep.
Does Jalen Hurts have another really good year and win one because he probably should have won one last year if it wasn't for Patrick Mahomes going absolutely nuclear?
Might get the monkey off their back this year.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. I think, I don't know. I feel like this might not be Burrow's year. I think it'll be good, but I honestly would feel more comfortable saying that in like 2 years and then I'd be like, yeah, I think, especially if we see kind of like trending upward. But yeah,
I think to Ryan's point, like the Bills are the definition of due. Like they've been really good now for a couple years, and like they're just due to do something.
Yeah. But Josh Allen can't win in the playoffs.
Facts. There's nothing to prove you wrong if you say that. That's the
Bills
problem.
fans can't suffer that much more. I mean, you can't go to 4 Super Bowls in a row and lose them all.
Dude, that's
and not win a Super Bowl with Josh Allen.
Is that the most insane like sports thing of all time? Is going to 4 Super Bowls in a row and then losing every single one?
In the NFL, it's definitely like hysterical.
I can't.
I don't know if there's one comparable.
Yeah.
Honestly,
No.
It's crazy.
Not just either 4 in a row. Right? That's the thing. In a row is the kicker.
It's a year. It's like no, I'm just gonna kick you in the nuts once again.
Robbie,
that was just terrible. This is a college football take. It's a college football take. I don't think there should be rankings until week 8. Watch 2 months, grade performance and opponents, and then release the top 25.
I don't actually hate that. I thought I was gonna hate that from when you first said that, and I was like,
I always hate when because Alabama fans do it too. But it's like, oh, we have this top 25 win, and it's over some team that ended the season 4-8, but were ranked number 21 at one point in like week 3.
Yeah,
it's like no, that doesn't count as a ranked win. Your ranked wins should be the teams that are ranked at the end of the year, not the teams that were ranked when you played them.
Yeah. Do you think?
And this gets rid of that because by week 8, the top 25 is pretty set.
I might argue
you'll have some changes.
I might argue week 8's a little late. I maybe would say 6, or
maybe like more towards the start of conference play.
Yeah,
like
that would make me more comfortable.
4?
8's a little late, but I do like that take because like a lot of the times too. I mean, a lot of these teams, especially the Power 5 teams, play these horrible opponents in like their first 1 to 3 games.
And you shouldn't get ranked for that just because you started the year in the poll. Like you should be ranked based on what you've done.
Especially when it comes to like, I think a lot of the times, if a committee is really struggling at the end of the year, and it's like a CFP discussion, right? And Alabama's played these 3 bums at the top of the season, and they've won 48-0 in every single game, and then we start talking about like point differential. It's like, okay, like they look at these 3 guys that they played compared to another team that might have played consistently good competition throughout the entire season. It's like, yeah, no, I like that. I would probably say week 6. And obviously people would get fussy about it and they would take an adjustment period kind of thing. But I like the concept and idea of it. I don't know how it would be implemented, but I do like that.
I don't think they ever would, but I do like the idea of it.
Yeah. Ryan, you got one more for us?
Oh, I do. It comes from Kendrick Perkins himself.
Oh, no.
This is Big Perk's big list for off-season predictions before the old NBA free agency got going. Top 5 that he had. Number 1, Bradley Beal to the Celtics. Where was that coming from? You fucking idiot. Didn't know how that was going to work, but he put it down in ink and then tweeted it.
Go off, King. Yeah.
I guess they would trade Jalen and then like give first rounders, I guess.
Second one, Van Fleet to the 76ers.
Dude, my guy just really like took out like
Perk is just Perk 30. I mean, this man is. Third one. This happened. Where's the fucking sound effect? Where's the sound effect?
He got one. Perk got one.
Number 3, Brooke Lopez re-signed with the Bucks. Let's go,
boy.
That was the top 3 take.
What a hot take.
Number fucking 3. He couldn't come up with anything. He's like, I got to get at least one.
I have all the respect in the world for Brooke Lopez, but like, why are we talking about him in terms of
his producer was really like, dude, you got to get at least one of these right. Like, you can't just be throwing shit out there.
And then we get into number 4, which I mean, you laughed hard at the first 2. This is James Harden to the Lakers.
In what universe was James Harden gonna be able to go to the Lakers?
I mean, technically he still could, right? I mean, you know.
Yeah.
So Perk wouldn't admit that he's wrong about that yet.
Yeah, he doesn't have to. He can still own that take for like until James Harden retires. Yeah. This thing is like, if you think about it, none of these takes are inherently wrong yet because he didn't say when. He just said that they would end up there. So
don't give him ideas. Robbie, don't give him ideas to say. Oh god.
And number 5, rounding it out, this beautiful, beautiful list is Draymond Green to the Phoenix Suns.
Bro, him and KD would murder each other. I think.
Yeah.
I know they already played together, but I feel like now, like, no chance.
Oh,
I didn't think it was that insightful.
Perkins' Twitter account every week for this.
Whenever I predicted like the whole thing, whenever Draymond went into free agency and it was like, oh, I think he's going to take a pay cut and like re-sign with the Warriors, and I said that and I technically predicted it, I didn't really think that was that insightful. I thought that was a pretty obvious thing that was going to happen, and apparently I know more than Kendrick Perkins does, and
That's not hard.
And
It's not a big
Didn't
deal.
fire him.
Yeah, they laid off all those other people and they kept
I
Perk.
know. Ugh.
Yeah.
God almighty, dude.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty
Interesting.
Wild.
My
That's
last
a walking L.
my last take, one that I agree with, that I don't know, I don't think you'll agree with me, but one that I actually agree with. Injuries aside, Kawhi Leonard is a top 5 NBA player. I am of this opinion.
You just can't do that, man. He's been hurt
But I am.
every season, like the past fucking 4.
I haven't seen him play in like 3 years. I haven't seen him play since the Raptors won the NBA Finals.
What was that one? I'm actually trying to remember. What was that one playoff series he hooped? Against Dallas, he was good. There was one recent memory that he had like a crazy 40-point game. I'm trying to remember who that was against. But yeah, I acknowledge that it's a hard conversation to have. I just, in terms of his play style, he's not a play style where it's like a D Rose or it's like a Zion, where it's obviously like, or like a Vince Carter, where it's like the older you get, the more that your game is kind of going to suffer because of how you play. I think Kawhi Leonard has a relatively sustainable type of play, to where that obviously he has some of those incredible plays, whether it's dunks or blocks that are kind of incredible showcases of his athleticism and skill. But I feel like he has enough skill in other areas that wouldn't be affected by age, to where he consistently would stay in that top 10 conversation.
Here's the thing for you, Connor.
Mm-hmm.
You know what the best ability is?
Go ahead.
It's availability, and he doesn't have that right now. So I can't put him in my top 5.
Can I send you a beat? That was a bar. Damn.
Yeah, let me get on a track.
Yeah, try. Oof. I mean, and granted, I've always been kind of a Kawhi Leonard fan, and I've always held him in the highest regard. And obviously, injuries have sucked. But I don't know, man. I just think that when I do see him play, it's just like, damn, I really think this guy hasn't lost that much of a step. I think he's still in that conversation. Maybe not top 5 right now. I think that's a little high right now. But yeah, I don't know. Top 10, I would be willing to have the argument. So I think it's interesting. So yeah, that is that, and then we're gonna move on to absolutely great. We're gonna move on to our last segment of the day. We're continuing on with the bracket, sports cities. We're gonna finish out the rest of the first round here tonight, right now. Are we ready?
Oh yeah.
Number 3 seeded Chicago versus number 30 seeded New Orleans.
Chicago.
It's not even close, really.
It's not even remotely close. You take the Cubs over Pelicans. Like, what else? And the Saints.
Just talk about you got Cubs, Bears, and Bulls, and you don't even mention the White Sox there.
Mm.
And those are 3 solid fan bases. Plus, you have the
Blackhawks
and the Blackhawks. I completely forgot about
the NHL fan base.
Yep, good call. And that's things like, I know compared to the Cubs fan base, I don't think the White Sox get a lot of love, but they're a pretty diehard fan base. Like, actually,
Christ. I'm thinking about the Chicago. Chicago is a juggernaut.
Yeah, it is big time.
Number 3 seed. I mean, they're up there.
Yeah,
they love their sports in Chicago.
Yeah.
Chicago's gonna move through, obviously. We got a closer seeded matchup here for you. Number 19 seeded Pittsburgh versus number 14 seeded Houston.
Oh, Pittsburgh,
yeah. Even though they're lower,
that was quick. I would agree with that.
Steelers fans are awesome. Like they really get the terrible
Penguins fans, and the fact that you can still be a Pirates fan is actually a miracle in itself.
The Pirates Stadium is one of the nicest stadiums in the MLB too. It's on the river. It's a great look. Yeah, Pittsburgh's a great sports city. They're only seeded that low because they only have 3 teams, right? Like, that's the entire reason. So.
But like the Steelers are like one of the most fabled franchises in the NFL. Penguins have been good for decades, and Pirates are there.
Yep. The Pirates have a pierogi race, which inherently just like knocks them up a little bit.
Yeah, and we know the pierogi.
We know 2 of the pierogies.
Yeah,
very cool. Number 11 Detroit versus number 22 St. Louis.
That's a good one.
I was gonna say I don't think it's overly close, and I think it's Detroit.
I was hoping to
Damn.
not move any of them through. Is that?
Yeah. Dude, this round's weird. I told you.
I think the key here is that St. Louis literally lost its NFL team because the fan support wasn't there.
True.
And that's pretty tough to come back.
That's a good argument.
And Lions fans, despite how bad the Lions have been, they're there, man.
It's true.
They're there. They're like Browns fans. They're there through the thick and thin.
The Red Wings they have fans.
They do. They throw squids on the ice whenever they get a hat trick.
Tigers had fans when they were better. The Tigers have been really bad the last decade. Shout out Miggy.
Same with the Pistons. Pistons have fans when they're good. I don't think they have a lot
Detroit
right now.
is just fucking bad. Good God.
Yeah. Other than the Red Wings. The Red Wings were the best NHL team probably 2000 through 2010, but outside of that,
Detroit hasn't sniffed a semifinals in 10 years.
Yeah, since the Red Wings won the cup, probably.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Since the Tigers won the World Series, 20.
I don't know the Red Wings might have made it further since the Tigers won the World Series. I don't know that for sure. What in St. Louis you have the Blues and the Cardinals. The Cardinals show out.
Far. The Cardinals I would take over the Tigers.
For sure.
The Tigers advanced to the World Series in 2012. Wait, that's not right. That's not right because it was the Cardinals.
Right?
Because it was the Rangers Cardinals.
Rangers were 2010, 2011?
Oh, I thought it was 2011, 2012.
But yes, Detroit moving on through. You lose your NFL team in the last 15 years. I don't think you get to get out of the first round.
Valid.
Yeah.
Looking at you, San Diego.
Facts.
Number 27, Indianapolis, Robbie's adopted city. Against number 6 seeded Washington, D.C.
Tough draw for Indy.
That is, but is DC
Is
a great sports town?
It's not.
DC a great sports town? It's not.
DC's probably one of the weakest top 10 seeds we have.
For sure, yeah.
It's a 6
No one gives a
seed.
shit about the Wizards. They love the Caps.
Yeah.
They love the Caps because they're good because they have Ovechkin.
Yeah. Nationals.
No one cares.
No. They cared when Strasburg got there, and then
They're so bad.
They haven't cared since.
DC is like Vegas. It is a lot less fun because it's all transplants, right? Like no one's from DC. You don't grow up and you're like, yeah, I'm a through and through Washington DC sports fan. Just like Vegas, but the Vegas fans are cool and the DC fans are not.
Yep. Yeah.
That's my take.
I don't think Indy's a strong enough.
I'm biased. I don't want to call this one, but I see where Ryan's headed, and I would agree.
Yeah.
DC?
What seed was Indy?
27.
Because they only have two. They only have the Pacers and the Colts.
Yep.
I'm about to say there are some 2-team cities around there that I think I would actually take over DC. I just think Indy got a tough draw.
Yeah.
Or DC got an easy draw. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Indy's such a college basketball town too. True. You're all about Indiana or Purdue or Butler. That's their sport is college basketball. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Washington, D.C. Moving on. Number 7, Philadelphia versus number 26, Kansas City.
I mean, it hurts my soul, but we know what we have to do, Ryan. It hurts me.
Fuck the Eagles.
Yeah. Fuck the Phillies.
Yeah.
I don't really have beef with the Flyers, but
they're bad.
Yeah, they're not great.
The Sixers, I have no beef with the Sixers either. Trust the process.
I truly despise people of Philadelphia. I mean, don't get Robbie started. He'll start monologuing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Kansas City as a 2-team city is a pretty good sports town. The Chiefs Stadium is the second loudest in the NFL behind the Seahawks.
I think so.
They're right there. They're up. Arrowhead is up there.
It depends on the game.
And obviously the Royals have had periods recently where they were pretty good and had good fan support. I don't think people are into them right now because they're one of the worst teams in baseball. But the Chiefs fans, alone are a really, really solid fan
Chiefs
base.
have some absolutely rabid fans now.
It's cool too. In Kansas City, the Chiefs and the Royals actually share a parking lot. So all the tailgating takes place in one area of Kansas City, and it's just this giant parking lot around Arrowhead that's all just tailgating stuff. It's a really cool setup. Although Philly's actually the same way. So
we have to move Philadelphia on, and I'm not happy about it.
I'm really upset about it. I'm really upset about it.
Philly moving on. Robbie's hometown, 23 seeded Charlotte versus number 10 seed Boston.
Oh, that's not even.
That's a really bad matchup.
Yeah.
I mean,
That is a strong 10 seed.
even
Jesus Christ.
even though it's my hometown, like Charlotte's got to be one of the weaker 2 sports cities, I think.
Yeah.
Like even though it is my hometown and like they're my teams, like it's not a sports town. It's just not, especially not compared to maybe the sports town in Boston.
I'm trying to consider who Boston draws next round. Like,
please tell me they get Philly.
Oh, it's not even. Yeah, that's.
They do indeed.
Yo,
It's for real.
it's a wrap. Yeah, I mean that might be the biggest blowout in the first round we've had so far. Legitimately, this is an awful draw for sure.
That's rough.
That's a really bad draw.
So we only have 2 more matchups. Though. This one's a lot quicker. Than the other one. This one might be the most contentious one of this round. Number 15, Atlanta versus number 18, the Tampa Bay area.
Here's how I'll phrase this to you. I don't know if you guys saw, but the Atlanta Braves are playing the Tampa Bay Rays this week in Tampa.
This is true.
And if you watch the game, you would have thought it was in a Braves home game.
That is
There
one
were
team.
so many Braves fans there; it wasn't even close. I know, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That you would have thought it was at Truist Field in Atlanta. It was so loud when the Braves were playing.
I feel like I hear more from Bucks fans than I do from Falcons fans.
I would agree with that. That's going to be my next take as well.
Falcons are bad. I mean, it's not.
But Falcons fans show out. They care about their dirty birds down here.
I just feel like I hear more from like guys that have been fans of the Bucks for 40 years, and like I've never heard of a Falcons fan.
But I think United. You forget about the Hawks.
Yeah.
The Hawks. I think the thing is like Tampa Bay is carried by the Bucks. I don't think the Rays were really bad in attendance for a really long time.
Yes.
Until they started playing better. And the Trop is one of the worst fields probably in major professional sports.
Yep.
It's gotta be up there. I don't think the Bucks have enough to carry them past Tampa, past Atlanta this round. I don't think it's there.
Yeah. Braves are like top 2 or 3 fan bases in the MLB.
Because the Braves fan base is all of the Southeast. Pretty much.
It is wild how you have just a dearth of like MLB, like you don't have one in Nashville.
I think Charlotte or Nashville will get one in the next expansion, but that's still to be determined. So
lovely. Moving on, Atlanta in our last round, our last matchup of this round. Unfortunately, one that probably isn't going to be super close. We have number 31 seeded Buffalo versus number 2 seeded Los Angeles.
Man, do I just want to move the Bills.
Just throw the Bills through.
Just the fucking Bills.
LA's not a sports town. It's not. We're talking about
a lot of teams.
They just have a lot of teams. They're not really a 2 seed. They just have so many teams.
Correct.
I think
you have the Lakers.
I don't know.
And the Dodgers.
And most of it is just meat riding the Lakers. Like, let's be honest.
Of course. Those things like they have so many teams.
You think about fans. The Bills have got a lot of fucking fans. Like they
and the
give
Sabres
a shit about
too.
the team. Yeah, the Sabres too. You have to move LA on. Like, but
no, I don't. I want to move Buffalo on. I don't have to move LA on. You can't tell me what to do. I'm moving Buffalo on because I think Buffalo is the best two-team city in the country.
He's a menace.
He did it.
I would move Buffalo.
Pulled the trigger. On. Ryan.
Wow.
Robbie,
I hate the fucking Clippers. Let's go.
Here's how we have to think about LA, right? Is like no one's a fucking Clippers fan. No one is a Angels fan. You're a Dodgers fan. So you're really looking at the Lakers, the Dodgers, and the Kings, or the Kings Ducks. I don't think it really matters which one you want to go with there.
Yeah.
I got Buffalo. I don't know. I got Buffalo.
I'm actually like inclined to believe, even before your argument, I was kind of leaning that way just because of like Buffalo is so much more with the Bills, so much more of a sports town than LA is. Like, there's just so much going on in LA. It's just like such a side thing. And granted, I do hear a lot. You hear a lot of the Lakers fans and whatever. I don't know. It's just like I think the Bills are undisputed the best NFL fan base. Yeah. And I like the upset here.
My roommate's actually from upstate New York, and he's like his family was raised him an Eagles fan or whatever. But when the Bills are coming to town for the Bengals, he already has 6 dudes that he went to college with that are coming into town for that game.
Yep. I believe it.
They say, I don't give a fuck. There, it's like Bills are bust. And the Sabres. I mean, the Sabres are cool. Like, obviously hockey's big in upstate New York, but somehow that NFL team just dominates the whole region.
The 31 seeded Buffalo going through over the number 2 seeded Los Angeles.
St. Peter's upset.
I guess it is. I guess Buffalo is moving on. And we have a finalized second round that we will be revisiting in our next episode. Unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for today. Gentlemen, would one of you please sign us out?
Absolutely. For myself and Ryan and Connor, thank you for listening to this fantastic episode. Go follow us on all social media at Bros and the Berg. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you next week. Please gamble responsibly.